Hello, everyone, and welcome to Adobe Live. Hope everyone's having a great day. My name is James Bonanno, and I will most certainly be your host for the next 2 days. I am joined by Soy Nguyen, also known as FoodwithSoy on all of her socials. Soy, thank you for joining us. We're super excited to have you.
Hey guys, this is Soy. Thanks for having me. I'm also super excited, a little bit nervous, but mostly excited.
No need to be nervous. We are going to be going over some amazing things. And I think everyone, once we get the chat going, will appreciate what we're going over the next 2 days. But I really just wanted to get started, Soy, and let the audience and the people in the chat get to know you a little bit. So maybe you can kind of intro yourself, where you are in your career, where you're located, and maybe go through some of your work just so people can get an idea of who you are.
Awesome. Thanks, James. So I was going to prepare like a whole slideshow, PowerPoint, but you can find most of my videos on FoodwithSoy through all the different platforms, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. And then I realized my Instagram itself has a lot of my videos kind of already compiled together to kind of demonstrate what I do. I do a lot of food content, obviously, actually all food content, hence the name FoodwithSoy. A lot of it connects people with culture. So I go out and try new types of food, like Nigerian food or different cultures and different foods that I've never had before, as well as showcase my own culture, like Vietnamese and how you eat different type of dishes or how to order. I also do adventure, food adventures where I visit small businesses and help bring support to them, feature them and showcase their story and what they're all about, as well as my Eat With Me series, which I do every Sunday, which is a mental health break where I just eat a meal with my viewers and talk about something I've thought about this week, imposter syndrome or something I've learned in therapy. So
awesome. Wow.
That's all my content.
Amazing. Well, I'm going to be salivating at all the food that we're going to be looking at today. I think it's really, really cool to hear your story and to get a little insight into, who you are and why you're on the stream today. Just before we get started, we got some people coming in the stream here. It looks like we got KL Jong. Oh my God, Soy. So whoever that is extremely excited to be on here.
Nice to meet you.
Soy So Professional. Voodoo Val. Hello. Hello, Gina. Hi, Samantha. She says she's getting hungry and we haven't even started. So I'm sure I'm going to be starving by the end of this. And yeah, I'm really, really excited to dive in today and really let you sort of guide us through what we're working on. I guess I can kind of give a little intro and then if you want to just dive right in, we can, sort of go back and forth and talk about what you're going to be working on today.
Sure. That sounds great with me.
Sweet. So I believe you're going to be working on, so obviously you do a lot of short form content. We were just kind of talking before we hopped on the stream, the difference between some of your short form content and your long form. Can you maybe hit on how you got into maybe making some of the short form content before you show the people on the stream what you're going to be working on?
Sure. So I actually have been kind of doing this food blogging thing since I moved to California, which is around 2015. But at the time it was mostly videos and I was making mostly long form YouTube videos, obviously 5 years ago. And it wasn't until the pandemic that I saw that there was a need for short form content to help support the small businesses in Los Angeles, highlight reels of their business and what you can order there or what you can get. And then I kind of shifted my whole entire, model for how I was doing my content during the pandemic to kind of focus on that 60-second videos where, exactly what you're getting yourself into. So if you want to visit this place, but you have a little social anxiety and you don't know what to order or what to get, that video will tell you whatever you need to know in a minute. So I kind of transitioned to that during the pandemic and it started growing and growing and growing to the point where I can finally say that I do this full time now, which is really cool. And I
amazing.
feel really grateful for
Congratulations.
it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean that should inspire. It inspires me, and it should inspire everybody watching this that you can really, in today's world, you can be as ambitious as you want and make a career out of what you enjoy and what you love to do, and to be able to merge the idea of you being passionate about food and video and creating these stories is really, really cool. So congrats on that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So yeah, so how did you, I mean, were you working like professionally as a filmmaker or as a video editor before you started doing what you're doing now?
Sure. So my whole background is actually like production, but even when I was like a kid, I was already kind of messing with Premiere to like make these like fan edits. If I watched like all these TV shows and I was like, oh, let me try to like edit like clips of like my favorite like pairings together and stuff. And I was just kind of just doing that for fun. And then when I went to college, I didn't know what to really major in. And then I felt kind of like that feeling when you go to class every day and you feel like you want to go to class. That was like so rare for me. And
Yeah.
that's how I felt in my like telecom production classes. And we learned how to use like Premiere. We learned that it was like the industry standard. And even when I was working at like Disney, I was a content producer and I was like making videos together with Premiere as well. So it's always been kind of like my tool to edit. So it's like a dream come true to be here to like showcase like me using Premiere now, when I used to take classes to learn how to use Premiere.
So
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, I know. It's well, you've clearly come a long way, and I, as a video editor myself, I can relate to that feeling of going to class or editing a video and feeling really fired up about it and actually enjoying the process. So I think that's why you have so many videos and you can post so consistently, is because you genuinely enjoy doing it and you're good at it. So with that being said, maybe we can dive in today for those in the chat. Soy is going to be walking us all through her process in Premiere today, and I'll kind of let her take it from here.
Yes. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to leave in the chat because James is going to throw me some questions while we do some basic editing.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So we have, let's see, Gina, you're totally awesome to watch and believe.
Thank you so much, Gina. Appreciate you.
And she says it's like the modern day critic. Instead of the newspaper, it's digital. Yeah, that's true.
Like I think part of why I started doing this whole like food for me, representation was like I didn't see myself being represented either the food or any of that through like Food Network or any of like these big discovery platforms. And then I was like, you know what, like if Food Network isn't going to give me a show, I'm going to just make my own videos,
I love that.
So that's what I like to do. I don't really consider myself a critic though, just because I feel like taste and food is so subjective, and I just like to share experiences. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Is your favorite part of, because like I'm a huge foodie too, and I feel like there's so many experiences you can have with other people in sharing a meal or with teaching people about a recipe, and you kind of hit on all of these things in your channels. And so what do you think your favorite part of like food videos is? Is it quick videos? Is it recipes? Like what's your favorite part?
Oh man, that's so hard. That's like picking like my favorite child. They all hold like different purposes, because no matter what, like all the content I push out, I try to be like purposeful. So like my Eat With Me series is like for mental health and all that stuff. But I do have a soft spot for my mom's recipe videos, because she lives in Florida and I visit her once in a while. And when we do, we kind of like get to work together to make these videos, which she has no idea like how to use the internet or any of like that stuff. I just told her like, Mom, I want to like share your recipes. Like people keep asking about it. Like I just want to record you cooking, and I'll come up with the measurements for you, because she wasn't measuring at all. She was just like to taste. And I was like, oh, we got to make it so that like other people can try to replicate this at home and they can enjoy it too. And it's been very fun doing that with my mom, because it helps build that like that atmosphere I felt like I didn't get growing up, because I was just always, my mom was always hardworking. So being able to share that now with her, while I'm older, has been like really rewarding and really fun. And seeing other people make the recipes is like really cool, because it's like something that I eat at home with my mom, and now someone's cooking like a Vietnamese like broth that they've never heard before, because the recipe was like easy enough for them to try.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
And so did your mom get you in, like, did your mom inspire you to get into, like taking food this serious, or was that just something that you kind of fell into on your own?
I think like I didn't feel like I had any other outlet at first, and I just always went out to eat. Even like in college, like I was always like making content with food, like taking pictures for Facebook. And even when I was in this like school, college, like almost like a magazine, I was like, oh, let's make like Tuesday videos about food where I went basically what I'm doing now, but like for my like magazine at school. So I've always been really interested in highlighting like stories behind food.
Awesome. I love
Yeah.
that. Well, I'm super fired up. Let's maybe see what you're working on. And again, I'll feed you questions and I'll continue to just sort of ask some things on my end as you go through the process. But take it away, Soy.
Awesome. So usually these little projects that I have here, these are kind of completed already. This is a video I just uploaded yesterday, but I'll just start like a project fresh for you guys to see in case you guys are like new to Premiere. I usually take whatever I film on my iPhone, my little iPhone. So I take the content directly from my iPhone, make a new like sequence right here. And then I kind of just like scrub through and watch like parts of it and use shortcuts, cut what I don't want, move things forward, delete, just keep like cutting and like spacing through things like that. So I'm going to go to the project that I'm already like kind of working on. So this is like my Eat With Me series that I do on Sundays. As you can tell, this one has like less audio because I usually do a voiceover for this one.
Okay.
But my cuts that I've made are kind of like fast pace, where it's okay, done with a bite right there. Let's move on to the next bite. So it's like continuously like jumping and jumping. So even if like the audio is kind of like the voiceovers tends to be a lot more like thoughtful and like slow pace, the cuts in the video I think really help kind of balance that out.
And so are you writing a script for your voiceover and then recording the voiceover once you've cut everything together, or are you kind of bounce it back and forth?
Yeah, everyone has like different strategies on doing like voiceovers. For me, I like to write out. I have like notepads full of like just like thoughts that I have, and then I write like my video script. But I cut the video first because usually for these videos, the voiceover doesn't have to match what I'm doing. So it's easier for me to do the cuts and then do the audio after and then cut the audio to it.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I just want to back up a little bit just to kind of start from your series that this video would be a part, right? You said it's a Eat with Soy Sunday series, or
yes.
Okay. So like, are you, how are you picking the food? Are you just deciding, okay, like on this day, I'm going to one of my favorite restaurants in LA, and then we're going to basically like kind of go through the whole process? Like maybe back up a little bit. And
sure.
There's always a process too.
Yeah. So for me, like the Eat With Me series actually started during the pandemic when I like live alone and I didn't have anyone to eat with. And I was just like, okay, well, some days was harder than others to really get myself to eat because I was so used to like social eating, going out with friends. And I told myself like, okay, like if at that time my mental health was just like not that great. And I was like, okay, well, let's try to make content out of it in a way that also like helps me. Right. So I felt like it was like good for me to pick my favorite meal. And I still remember the first Eat With Me series video because it wasn't anything extravagant. The lighting wasn't great. It was just kind of me in like the living room. It was kind of like poorly lit, honestly. But like, I was like, you know what? Let me just try making this type of content because I just want to talk about what's on my mind, especially with the pandemic and everything happening. So I start the video with like, hey, it's Eat With Me video. If you're having a hard time eating, feel free to use this video. And I started with every single one of these Sunday videos because I want to open that space where like, if anyone is having a hard time eating, whatever the reason is, whether you're like dealing with family issues or maybe your mental health isn't great or like physically you can't eat or any of that stuff, I just wanted to create that space where people can do that. So that's like how this like video series became like, it was kind of born and now it's like one of, I think, the fan favorites. Like
okay, cool.
my followers all the time. I get so many like feedback from people with like eating disorders or like having trouble eating, and they like message me like beautiful messages about how like they were having a hard time and this really helped them, and that really felt like really fulfilling for me. So I try to do it like once a week.
Wow. So there's much more to that. I guess on the surface you would look at that and not really realize that there's that story behind it, but it seems like there was more of like a therapy and trying to advocate a little more mental health during the pandemic and when people was it when people really couldn't get out, or they were,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
trapped alone and couldn't date, or like just all these different things, right?
Yeah, it's been over a year. I can't believe I've been doing this series like for over a year. But yeah, it was like during the time when like you couldn't even like go into restaurants or have
Mm,
that type of like experience. So it was just kind of like, and this honestly, this meal could be like any meal of the week that I choose. I've had like meals where I'm just like eating like leftovers, or this one I'm eating like Thai food, or whatever it is. Like I think it's less so the meal and more of the experience of like sharing a meal with someone.
awesome. Yeah, I love that. And I think the fact that you have that much thoughtfulness and passion behind that is huge, because you're not just making this thing to satisfy, hey, I'm just making short form content because people are going to watch it. And you've created a following of people that have also enjoyed what you're making. So that definitely shines through in your work.
Oh, I really appreciate it. I actually get a lot of feedback about how they want these videos to be longer. And I'm like, it takes a lot of like mental, I think like emotional and mental capacity for me even to make this video weekly, just because I feel like they're kind of like intense subjects for me to like
Yeah.
be vulnerable online. But there's like a special connectiveness that I feel with being vulnerable that I don't think you can get like with anything else except like talking to people and letting them know how you feel.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Voodoo Val has asked us, do you have a favorite meal that you've made on a video recently? I'm glad you asked that, Val, because I also wanted to know.
Ooh, made or ate? Let's see. I make sure both.
Let's do bought, or like got from a restaurant and then made.
I went to this really cool like Japanese barbecue spot in Silver Lake,
Okay.
and I didn't expect it to be so thought out. Like they were very like intricate with their like menu, but then also like the waitress also gave us like so much detail, and it was really cool because no one was like there, and then I felt like very connected to the space, and that was really cool. I had that was a really good meal just because of like the whole experience.
Awesome. And any that you've made that you feel like have been a favorite of yours recently?
I've been making this cold tofu dish
Mm,
very often. I like learned how to make it because of TikTok, and then I like kind of like stitched it, and then I made my own video about it. But it's so good. It's so simple. And I think like those like 10-minute meals where you don't really have to think much and you can just like put seasoning together and create like this dish. It's just so rewarding because I feel like time and balance, like sometimes I have to eat by myself and I'm like, oh, like, when I'm cooking with other people, it's fine. But when I'm cooking for myself, it's like easier for me to like do like simple meals. And that's been like a go-to for me recently.
do you feel like when you're making meals, you're always filming them? Like, do you ever sit down and just have a meal where you're not thinking in the back of your mind, like, I have to film this for TikTok or Instagram or YouTube?
Oh, that's a good question, James.
Because I feel like meals like sometimes are so sacred. Like that's like a time, at least for me, where I'm like, okay, cool, like work's done, I'm gonna go sit and have a meal, cook it or whatever, and I really enjoy the cooking
Yeah,
process. But
there's like
you're obviously
intention.
filming a lot of that, and there's intention with you having to shoot it while
Yeah,
you're eating. So do you ever have a meal without shooting it?
I have many meals without shooting, but I
Okay.
think it's like, I guess like you're right. It's all about like being intentional. And like for me, like I'm also like a very strong creative in the sense that like for me to be creative, I need to constantly like create no matter what. Like I'm like, okay, let me see, let me just like do this, film this, and like try to edit it. Or like even like record natively on like TikTok. That's been kind of fun where I can make like short videos where I don't have to spend like too much time. Like, hey, like here's a little like, natural video of me like eating or something where there's no editing necessary.
Hmm.
That's been kind of fun because for me, like my creative spirit is always in the act of like, okay, let me try to make something new. So I do think about it a lot. And I've been trying to like slow down on that and be like, okay, well, there needs to be meals that I eat that are just for me. And like, that's fine.
Right, right. Well, I guess like any job, you have to turn it off at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, like this is now a job too. Obviously, you're passionate about it and you love it, but it's still something that you have to say, here's the off switch. Like, let me just go
Yeah.
put that on hold. Let me eat my meal, and then I'll come back to doing
Yeah.
whatever else I need to do afterwards.
I feel very blessed because I think I have that kind of like work nature where I don't feel tired when I'm like really passionate about something.
Right.
And so I have like a good backlog of videos. So there are days where I don't post anything on really like live on social media where I'm going out or doing anything. And I'm just like at home, just like editing like an old like food vlog or like any of that that type of stuff. So it's just like finding balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like anything else. I feel the same way. Like I really, my wife and I, we travel full time as photographers and filmmakers, and like there's everyone's like, oh my god, it sounds like such a dream. I'm like, well, there's moments where it's great, but then there's other times where we just can't seem to turn it off, and like we have to turn it off, you know. So that's equally as important for those that are you know tuned in, that even if you find a passion like video editing, like it's, you need to have some time to chill too.
Yeah. And I think the thing that people forget to mention is like when people say balance, balance looks different for everyone.
True.
And I think it's like sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves, because I told myself like, oh, like it's not 50-50 for everyone. You know, like people don't have like work balance and, you know, personal life balance 50-50. And that's fine. Like you can't be rough on yourself just because maybe you like to work a little bit more than the average person. That's fine. Maybe you like to rest more than the average person. That's fine. Maybe you care more about like your relationships than your career. And that's like fine too. Like whatever it is that you want to do in life, it's your life.
Totally.
Yeah.
Paloma Dora is asking, do you shoot and edit all in one day? I think that's a great question.
I can, and I have, but I try not to, just because that rush feeling of like, hey, like I need to get something out is not very, I think, healthy for my mental health. I've done it before where like I've had a brand be like, hey, like we really need you to film this video and get it up by tomorrow, like so they can approve it and all that. And I get stressed a little bit, probably a lot. And then I do it, and then I'm like, okay, let's not do this again. So it's all a learning experience to know like what your boundaries are with that, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, I'll kind of add to that as well. Like, I feel like sometimes a timeline is good because it gets, at least me, like it gets me motivated to finish something, even though I can sit on it for a while and like, oh, I'll come back to it because I'm not giving myself a deadline. And then there's other times where like, yeah, like you said, you're rushing so much to get something finished that maybe you miss a couple pieces of the video that you could have made a little bit stronger if you just sat on it for a while and, you know, went to bed, came back the next day and worked on it again.
Exactly. So I think it's just all about learning your boundaries with it, because there's no wrong or right answer. It's just what works for your life.
Awesome. Maybe if you want to show us, I guess, like the finished product, why don't you show us what, sorry, there's a fly like right in front of my head. I'm going to get him out of here. Maybe show us the finished video so that we can kind of like work backwards so that people in the chat know what you're going to be creating for us.
So this video is this video that I posted yesterday. Is it going to play audio?
Buddy and Rancho Cucamonga. Sticky rice. Look how soft and cute. You eat it just like regular rice. A little bit more sticky, so there's a chew to it. Sausage, all the herbs, all the seasoning. Let's eat it with a cucumber. A little bit of a crunch to it. So good. Look at all that basil. Oh, it's dripping. Ah, perfect bite. It looks spicy, but it's kind of sweet. Kind of has like this beef jerky feeling to it. Mix it together with the rice and the egg. Tom kha. Good soup. Sweet, creamy, flavorful. Last but not least, fried rice. You think these chilies on top are spicy? Let's try. Okay, it's getting spicy. It comes with a side of lettuce, so you can make little lettuce wraps. There's little bits of sausage in this too. Let me know what I should eat next.
So this is like one of my cultural videos where I kind of showcase like, obviously like Laos Thai food.
I love that.
Yeah. So this is like a quick facing, like, I guess like mukbang, which is like popular in like the Korean community of like showcasing like food and eating type of videos.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I mean, I love anything in a rice bowl with runny egg on top. So yeah, I'm like, okay, this looks perfect. And I think it's really cool the way that, I mean, I think what's so cool about watching that video is it's very approachable and likable to most people. You don't even have to be interested in necessarily video editing. You can just be interested in, hey, like this food looks really good and I'm really digging her personality. She makes these fun videos that make me laugh. And like, I think there's a lot of life to just that one video.
Yeah, I think people underestimate like the power of like working with editing and cutting in a way that's like highlights your personality. Because I think a lot of times, like I used to like edit a lot for my YouTube videos where I had like a lot of different effects and all the sound effects and all that. And it does make like a really good overall like project. But there's something to be said with like also being able to showcase videos and in a way that's like kind of personal, and edited in a way that's like entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, there's, like we were saying earlier, there's, you know, times and places for something that may be like a little bit drawn out or more information in a recipe, but this is obviously for like a quick attention. And like you explained before, it's for a larger purpose. So having that in mind before you sit down to really create that video helps you, I think, probably be more efficient in creating it quickly, because now you know the style you're looking for each time.
Exactly. And then like I have like different styles for different types of videos. And this one is supposed to be like more like in your face, like, hey, let's try this together. And less like narration and storytelling. So it's more experience based for sure.
Do you add music to a lot of these, or do you tend to just do voiceover and graphics? Like what's your...
Yeah, I tend to do voiceover and graphics. Like the most important thing is like obviously audio. I try to keep it like at -12. I don't know why. I guess I learned that in school. If anyone knows why, but I've always learned that -12 is like the best like gain for audio not peaking and everything being kind of leveled out.
Yeah. I think, I mean, it kind of ranges. Like I usually keep it in between like -6, -12. Sometimes like, even though your decibel reader is telling you it's -12, you're like, that sounds so much louder. Or it sounds, so I think over time you end up, you've been doing it for a while, you know, you end up feeling like you have that feel, you know what it should sound like.
Yeah, I adjust afterwards, but then I try to set it at -12 to like begin with.
Gotcha.
And then I think like the biggest thing that I've learned about like creating content for like Instagram and like all these like short like platforms is that accessibility is really, really important. And when it comes to accessibility, like we learned that audio is important in production school, but they also don't teach you that like 85% of the audience on like Facebook, Instagram don't listen to these videos with any audio. So if you're creating a project that has no like captioning, you're also losing an audience that doesn't like auto start video, but then you're also losing people that might be like hard to hear. You know, they have a hard time hearing, or maybe like some mom is ready to put her son to bed and she wants to watch your video, but she can't watch it with it on blast. So the best way is like obviously to add captions. And as you notice from my finished video, like one of the things people ask me a lot of times is how I came up with this kind of like speech bubble subtitle mixture. And today, I guess we're gonna spill the beans.
Yeah. The secret will be out. I like that you brought that point up, because that's not something that's really discussed enough. I mean, we see it on Facebook, we see it on Instagram as you're scrolling through, and even someone who's creating videos sometimes without captions, I'm always thinking that somebody's just going to listen to that video, even though I know I might lose half the audience, because I do the same thing. Like I'm scrolling through and I get caught when I see the captions, and I sometimes don't want to be like, I'm in the DMV or something and I don't want to listen to it. I want to just watch it and see what it says.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, I mean, we always learn audio is like the most important in school. So I think like now it's like shifting to like, okay, how do we make it accessible to everyone?
Totally.
Or like more accessible in general. Like even people that don't speak English as a first language, I talk pretty quick. I've been told. I think I definitely think quicker than I speak at times. Got to be careful with that. But because of that, I think subtitles have been really helpful, because people can like rewatch videos. If they didn't get a part, they can like look at the captions, because maybe I, went too fast and they couldn't hear it.
Right. Yeah, they can slow down. And I mean, that retains attention a lot longer too. Like you keep the audience engaged a lot longer if you have a reason for them to stop too. We have a couple of questions in the chat here. It looks like Gina, thank you, Gina, for tuning in here. She's asking, how many hours does it take you to create that video? So from start to finish, how many hours would you say that it took you to create that?
Oh man, I think like the editing process is probably the quickest part. Even like doing this live, I told them, I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna like do a whole live, because usually the editing process for me is like, if I sit and I just like go through it, I can finish like a video in like 2 hours. With no problem. That's like the easiest part, is like the editing. Like I kind of like intuitively know my cutting. I know my shortcuts. I know how I want to do things. And it's just I think like the more you do it, the more you get used to it. The harder part is like obviously like picking up the food, deciding what to eat, you know, like how am I going to tell like different stories, or like what am I going to use, how I'm going to set up the filming for it. You know, if it's late at night, like do I have to worry about filming with lights? Sometimes I film in my car for a lot of my videos, and that's even a harder struggle because I'm like just sweating in my car. I'm like, okay, well, I have to turn off AC for the audio to be like even like, you know, anyone could hear it all. So I have to blast AC for like maybe like 30 seconds, and I turn off my car, like hoping I can record the whole video in like one cut. And then finding like the right lighting because I'm in my car, like different scenarios, because I'm always finding different ways to create content wherever I go. That's like the harder part. I think I spent most of my day like figuring out how to film things than I am actually like editing. Like Premiere makes it so easy to edit.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, and that definitely answers your question, Gina. But I think like going into some more detail about that, you're using your phone, right? So I know you hit on it a little bit, but for those that are just tuning in now, I think it's important to address the fact that most of these videos are on your phone and not with a camera. And I guess for your efficiency, you know, like using a phone, you said is a better workflow than maybe using a DSLR or mirrorless, right?
Yeah, I think I tell people all the time because people are like, oh, like what should I record with? And I am pretty guilty for it because like when I started making my YouTube channel, I was like, okay, I have to buy like a really good DSLR, and I have to get a Rode mic, and I have to do all this, which I have still, but I don't use it because I told myself like the most important thing is what is going to keep me continuing to make content. How am I going to continue doing it without feeling like I want to give up? And I was like, okay, well, I always have my phone. The quality on the phone is great. So let's try making content with that. And then slowly it's like my number one like usage now, because I think like out of anything else, you just want to be consistent, and whatever keeps you consistent without burning out is going to be the best tool for you, no matter what.
If anyone's just joining us right now, I think just like make markers, because there's good sound bites in here that are like inspirational, motivational quotes that should be just like plastered over every wall. Because I completely agree, and it's not something that I think about as much because I'm sort of like a traditionalist. I tend to shoot. I mean, like even for the stream, I'm shooting on a mirrorless.
It looks great. It looks great.
Thanks, but I can completely understand where you're coming from, because you know, like your content, you want it to be as approachable as possible, and you want people to watch it and say, how can I make that? Like, you don't want it to feel so far away and foreign to somebody who can't afford a mirrorless camera or cinema camera. Like everyone has a phone for the most part. So just take the phone out and start creating that story. And I think a lot of people probably see that in your work.
Yeah, I think back to intention, right? Like when you think of intention, like the way you make your videos, it's like, what is the purpose of it? Like for me, it's like to connect with audience and all that stuff. And I realized like I can connect an audience without using my DSLR, without using my A7S. Like all those are great. And I'm glad that I know how to use it, and I can use it. But for me, it's like, okay, well, my purpose isn't that. My purpose is like to make this video today so that I can upload it, you know, or like a daily video. So I have to be very cognizant of that.
Right. Gina had also asked if you have a script when you make these videos or if you just wing it.
My personality type is ENFP. And if you know much about ENFP personality types, we are pretty much the most flexible when it comes to everything. So I wing a lot of it. I have like a baseline of what I know I want into the videos. I do have to say that like uploading a video a day and like creating content daily has made me very intuitive with how I want to create content. So even though I have like these different series, like my food adventure series, like I know that I want to start off with like a hook at the beginning of the video to get people to watch the video, you know, like have you ever had like a Wagyu tower, you know, could be a hook. And then I lead into, well, I got it at this restaurant with like the location of the restaurant, because people usually ask that. And then I go with like, you know, the atmosphere, what I ordered, how I ordered, and then a little bit of me tasting the thing, and then loop it at the end, where it's like, okay, now you know the answer to, do you know where to find a Wagyu tower? So usually my food adventure videos kind of have that format. And then my Eat With Me series, like I mentioned, is just like, hey, if you have a hard time eating, feel free to use this video. So I think like the more videos you make, the more intuitive you kind of become to like what format you have.
Right.
And so like I feel like I have to script less at the beginning now and can do it at the end when I kind of look at the content and I'm like, okay, well, this is, I talk to the, restaurant owners, or I talk to like people to understand like what's going on. And then I kind of make notes and then I take it home and I'm like, okay, well, these are the clips I have. This is how I can tell this story.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's an interesting way to break it down. And I think just like practice for those that are on the stream that are new to editing or, are editing professionally, like you guys get this, that the more you do it, the better you get at it. And we haven't even really jumped into editing as much here, but we're talking about the process, and there's so much process that goes into what you do, Soy, before you even really get into Premiere. You're thinking about all these things and the methods and kind of practices you want for each video because you've done it so many times. So it's important to keep that up.
And I definitely like also want to make note, because people are always like, oh, like this is like the end result that I want. And I always tell people like what you think is like the end result is going to continuously change as you're continuously making new content. It's like you're rewriting your ways, or like there might have been a way that I used to film before where I used to like mix media where it's like 1 minute I would have like the food adventure, and then I would also have me trying the food with my audio. And then I realized that like that was like too much for a 1 minute video. And I was like, okay, let's just make this a whole voiceover video. And then if I want to do like a talking video, talking to the camera, then I can have like a separate cut for that. So it's like the more you do it, the more you really find your groove. So it's really important to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Guys, go out there and do it. Just open up Premiere, start editing what you had for breakfast. Just do it. If you're interested, which you obviously are, if you're joining the stream, seriously, just get started. It's the biggest thing that I think you can take away from this is just start, And
I think like video editing is so useful nowadays. I see so many people like showcase their business and even like showcase their trips. Like there's so many ways you can use it, not even just as like a I want to make this my career type of thing, but as a way to just like bring more life to your memories.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend everyone, like if they get the chance to learn how to edit.
Absolutely. Well, with that being said, let's edit. Let's maybe, I think we're all fine to watch you go through your process and edit the finished product. And then I know we're going to try to get into some of the voiceover, right? And then having you show us how to actually create some of those graphics.
Yeah. So the voiceover is usually I do it with the Eat With Me series, which I haven't uploaded yet for this week. I was going to upload today as like a, hey, if you guys watch the live stream, you guys have this video to look at. But usually I have my script on the side and I kind of like, hey, it's Eat With Me video, blah, blah, blah. Not a real notepad here. But you want to keep this track on for the voiceover. And I also like to go to preference. Where is it? Oh, preferences right here. And audio. If I'm going too fast, please let me know, because I feel like I kind of have this like kind of memorized. I like to turn on the mute input during timeline recording, because I don't like having that feedback when I'm recording, because it kind of psychs me out. I don't know about anyone else, but you can also just like mute yourself if you don't want to hear yourself in the background.
I never even knew there was that button, because I usually just mute myself when I'm doing the recording. So if you mute the input, can you then still hear yourself recording the voiceover, but you don't hear the rest of the track? Or is that you just wouldn't hear yourself?
Yeah, you won't hear yourself. I don't like hearing myself. That kind of like messes me up. But if you want to like check quality of mic before, you can just do that. Usually that's what I do. And then I kind of go into like this so that I can have that leeway.
And I'm going to go a little basic just for the sake of the stream here. So if you have a microphone that you want to record voiceover with, this one here or the one that you're using, how would you make sure that microphone is the input set to your Premiere settings?
Oh, good question.
Let
me see if I know this. Uh-oh. Is it audio hardware?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Perfect.
So the input is what's like kind of receiving in, and then the output is like I usually put my headphones, or whatever you're listening on. Right now it's default headphones anyways.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you're opening Premiere for the first time, those that are watching, and you haven't used a microphone before, typically that default input would be for your computer. speaker. So if you, the
Right here.
system default right there, and then just make sure your microphone is plugged in via either USB or however, if it's through a mixer, then you would just switch it to that so that
Yeah.
Premiere is hearing what you're speaking into.
Very important before you even start recording, because then you're like, you wasted a whole cut of like recording.
Oh my God, that's the worst. If you like, and you're like, oh, I nailed it. The take sounds perfect. And then you play it back and it's just like a dead line. It's like, wow, I'm like, what the hell happened?
That's also why I stopped like recording on my DSLR as much, because like anytime I forget to turn on the mic, it's like, oh.
Yep. It's happened a number of times, and I think it happens to everybody at least once or twice.
Yeah, it's like the biggest learning mistake. And then I kept making that mistake, and I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm just not meant to like record with an external mic.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So you're at this setup. You've had your mic set. You're ready to go. I mean, this is like second nature to you. So
Sure.
Obviously you can fly through it pretty quickly, but just for those that are
I'll slow down. I'll slow down a bit, because if anyone has questions, it's like once you like get used to it, it starts becoming like this, where you're just kind of like da 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 da. So I'm open to like answering things.
I have a question with voiceover. So I do a little bit of voiceover on our travel films as well, and I've always found it like difficult to have my personality shine through without sounding super robotic. And do you have any like insights or tips to those that want to do their own voiceover work? Like advice on how to make voiceover, God, fly, get out of here. How to make your voiceover sound, the most organic or natural.
Honestly, I think, well, for me, like I tell myself to smile to begin with, because you can really, like, no matter what you're listening to, you can tell when like someone's smiling or really enthusiastic about something. So I try to like hype myself up for like the first like 10 minutes. Like, hey, like you're gonna have to do a voiceover. Like you need to like portray that in this way, because people are only going to hear this, or they're not going to know what's going to happen until that. And then I think the script helped, because I kind of script it in a very conversational way. I'm not trying to like make it like super moody or like any of that stuff. So my scripting is pretty much like pretty chill. And I think that makes it a little bit easier, because I feel like it's very authentic to my voice anyways. I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. And I think that's important when you're scripting, is like to make sure that your script is almost conversational and less so like this is that. Because if you're going to read like that and you're going to write like that, it's going to come off like robotic,
Right. Totally.
So it's okay to like also know that when you're recording to make mistakes, because the cool thing about this is, since you're recording on Adobe, you can also like cut it to trim things. So if like a line doesn't work out, where I'm like, hey, that didn't sound right, like I don't stop myself from recording the whole thing over again. I just like repeat the line, like, okay, let's try it with this tone. Let's try it with like this, like there's different ways to do things, and until I get like the cut that I want.
And are you recording just one audio track, or will you do like cut one on audio track 2, take 2 on audio track 2, or do you just kind of go through it, delete it? Like, do you save clips to go back to, or you just know, okay, I didn't hit that, let me try to redo it?
Yeah, I honestly try to do one audio track to begin with. And then when I cut it together, like, let's say I record like this, like, also, when you go over here, guys, make sure to voiceover record setting. I like to have the countdown, the little beep, beep,
right,
to get me, because I like that, but not everyone likes that. You can turn it off if you don't want to. I like to do a pre-roll, like 3 seconds. And then it's like, I hit record.
Let's see.
Hey, it's in a. I'm like, I hype myself out. This is the wrong clip.
I hate when I do that.
That's the wrong clip. This is the clip without the talking to psych myself out. Hey guys, this is an Eat With Me video. If you're having a hard time eating, feel free to use this video. And then if I'm like in the middle of recording, I'm like, oh, that didn't feel right. Then I'm just like, hey guys, this is an Eat With Me video. Feel free to watch this video. I just keep repeating the line until it feels right. And I don't like stress out about like the rest of the timing, because then I'm like, okay, oh, I didn't even record. Oopsies. Hey guys, it's an Eat With Me video. If you have a hard time eating, feel free to watch this video. Hey guys, it's an Eat With Me video. If you have a hard time eating, feel free to watch this video. Hey guys, it's an Eat With Me video. If you're having a hard time eating, feel free to watch this video. Or I'm like, I'm going too fast. Hey guys, it's an Eat With Me video. If you have a hard time eating, feel free to watch this video. And the cool thing is because it's like now on this timeline, feel free to watch this video. I'm like, okay, I like that, you know? But it could be better. Hey guys, it's an Eat With Me video. If you have a hard time eating, feel free to watch this video. I don't like that one, you know? And then you just like kind of move it around. And then if I need to add like, maybe I like want to have another clip back here and I'm like, hey, I want to add more, then I can do like the third layer track and then move everything around.
Gotcha. Awesome. And so let's say you've created your whole voiceover track on just, let's say, audio track 2. And you've recorded it at the level that ideally you'd like to keep it at, but do you mix your voiceover in any way? Do you add any sort of like effects to it to make sure it's as crisp as it can be? Or do you just, record it straight from the mic and then put it on the track and then export it as is?
I feel like my mic has been pretty good and decent where I haven't had to do any extra mixing. I've done extra mixing in the past before, and I feel like sometimes it sounds like too distorted for me, even though it's like you try to like balance things and all of that. So it's really based on preference. And then I was kind of like, I kind of like the raw feeling, because even if there's like a humming or buzzing because of like the background or something, it makes it even more personal and less like too much. It's not like I'm trying to record like an animation where I need to have like no sound, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, it's refined, but there's still like it needs to still feel like your personality coming through.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. And then if there's an issue with my environment that I just re-record, I feel like that's easier than messing with like the audio enhancements and all that. At least for me. Awesome. There's probably audio mixers out there that are like, she's wrong. But that's why they're there. They do the audio mixing.
Again, yeah. There's a time and a place, but I think what you're doing, this is perfect.
Yeah. So that's what I do.
Voodoo Val says that she really respects and admires you a lot for doing the voiceover
thank you
live.
So much.
She says when she makes videos, this is the hardest part. It's the part that makes her feel the most self-conscious.
Oh no. I think like you just got to be your like best hype man, because I think before I also was like, oh, like my voice sounds a certain way, or like this, I'm not sure about this, but I think like the more you do it, the more you're going to get better. And that's like the best part. Like, why do you want to be the best at something already? Right. Like the fact that you're growing and you're progressing and you're getting better. That's such a cool moment. And to kind of like embrace that.
I think voiceover is kind of overlooked as such a huge part of this style of video. And I mean, other styles of videos too. Mm-hmm. And I feel like voiceover becomes such a identity of who you are, of who, whoever is making that video is. And so Voodoo Val, like that self-conscious nature, I think the more you do it and the more you put yourself out there, the more you figure out like, I hype myself up. Am I this goofy character in my videos? Am I, someone that's a little more like serious? Is the tone different based on the video? And I think over time, that's like you were saying, that's how you continue to grow and your voiceover gets a little more refined to tell the story that you're telling, right?
Exactly. And it's, it's editing. So you can always keep re-recording until you feel like super comfortable. No one knows about I've had like projects where I've had like tracks on tracks on tracks, but no one knows because all they do is see the end result.
Right.
So I think it's like good to know that you have that safety net of like, it's okay if I make mistakes because no one's really going to see these except for me. So I have that leeway to do that.
Yeah. There's been tons of times when I've finished a project and I've regretted maybe not putting like 1 or 2 clips in, and no one knows that I didn't put those in there except me. So I have to get over the fact that the finished product is what people are seeing. They're not really seeing behind the curtain. But on today's live, you guys are seeing behind the curtain. So.
I know the curtain is kind of sheer and kind of
everyone's
open.
Like,
yeah. But yeah, I think with voiceover, that was like one of the hardest, like, I guess like training wheel moment for me, because I was kind of like, oh, like, am I supposed to be louder? Am I supposed to be more animated? And I think like, it really depends on your personality and whatever you're comfortable with, because whatever you're doing is going to be like your videos, right? So like, you have to make sure that it's like authentic to you. And if you are like a monotone person, or you feel like you have a monotone way of speaking, don't feel like you have to like become super animated. There's ways to like create, narration and interesting storylines with that type of narration. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the most important part is that the personality shines through. So whatever that
Mhm.
personality is that you're trying to convey, and maybe voiceover isn't necessarily
Mhm.
for you. Like some people have a voice that might work for voiceover. Others are like, I'll use somebody else and I'll direct the voiceover, or I'll write the script for them
Right.
because their personality is more aligned with the story that I want to tell that I can't convey.
Yes,
You
I
know?
totally agree. I think like there's so much room to create so many different types of content. So just because you have a favorite creator creating it a certain way doesn't mean that you have to do it just like them.
Again, killing the soundbite game. Everyone on the stream, little love in the chat for Soy soundbites. That could be a new series, Soy soundbites. We can just have like soundbites from Adobe
Just cuts
Live.
of me, just cuts of me in Adobe Live, just like, hey guys, you can do whatever you want to do because it's your life.
Yeah, like motivational quotes across the screen, and it's like, oh, Soy soundbites every Saturday. Awesome.
So yeah, so the basic cutting for this video, I've already kind of like cut it out. And then when the voiceover comes, the track lays there.
When you're cutting, are you using shortcuts and keyboard shortcuts?
I am very basic. I just use CV,
classic razor tool.
Yeah, I just go back and forth on razor and then delete. But if you have like a better moment, let me know, because I love learning new things all the time.
You're on a Mac, right? Or
I'm on I'm PC.
I'm not sure if it's the same shortcut because I'm on a Mac. So Command K is my shortcut for cutting a clip. And
I don't have a command tool, so.
Okay, so it might be like an option. I haven't used a PC in a long time. So for those in the chat, if you guys are on a PC, there's my cat in the background for anyone who cares. And if you guys know what the shortcut is, Command K is a Mac shortcut for cutting a clip. On a PC, it's probably a little bit different. But can you show everybody, Soy, where those keyboard shortcut tools are? So if they are using a PC and they want to change it.
Oh, you have a good question, James, because I just keep the preset ones.
Okay, so go to.
Is it preference?
I forget where they are. I think it's.
You give me a question you didn't even know the answer to.
Well, here, press file.
Oh, keyboard shortcuts.
Control Alt K. Shortcuts. Yeah. Control K. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Love this.
If you go in there, and this is, I'll just show you, I guess now. So if you wanted to change your shortcuts, they actually have where it says keyboard layout preset up at the top to the left. You can change it. So like people who used Final Cut Pro back in the day could actually change.
Wow, that's kind of cool.
Keyboard shortcuts to what that tool was like. And then if you wanted to just change things so you're whatever people are using at home, you can go in here and customize those shortcuts basically just to make your workflow as efficient as you need it to be.
Yeah. So I like to use C and V. So I just like, C is obviously the cutting razor tool, and then V is like selection tool, and then I just kind of move the clips around. Perfect. Let's go back and forth.
Awesome. Hey, that's efficient. That works for you. So that's perfect.
Yeah. What's your Control K? I want to see it on here.
Control K is,
or Command K.
Command K is basically my, it's a shortcut for basically cutting a clip rather than clicking on it. So I'll have my playhead on the timeline, and Control K just cuts the clip, and then delete it, and then W ripples it so that you can close the gap without having to actually touch your mouse.
Oh, let me try that right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might be. Let's see. Kevin, what does Kevin say? Shift Control K for add edit to all tracks. Q to cut top of the clip. W to cut the tail of the clip. So W would cut the tail end, and Q would cut the top. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So.
Oh, nice. It's like in and out.
Yeah, so it's almost like setting its own an add.
And then
edit.
Go here and then W.
Cool.
Can you delete too? Is there a shortcut for deleting right away, or is that?
That might be the ripple delete tool to the left. I'm not sure. I don't use that one a lot. A lot of the times I just click it.
Yeah, I usually click it too, and I'm like, oh, maybe if there's a way I can just do that, then I don't even have to use my mouse. That'd be really cool, right?
Yeah, it looks like Thomas in the chat is saying razor, ripple, trim. So yeah, razor would be what you're doing now, cutting it.
And then W?
Ripple might be W, or
I think so.
Yep. And then maybe that trims it. So.
Oh, I don't think it trims it though. It keeps it there.
Well, again, I think that the point for anyone in the chat is the shortcuts and the keyboard shortcuts are meant to save us time,
Yeah.
not spend more time on them. But it's cool because there's endless ways to create what you need to create. And, I myself am a Mac person, but I, have used different shortcuts my whole career as a video editor. So like, that's what I go to, and you do something a little bit different. So you can get to the same result by doing different methods to get there.
Yeah, I actually like love learning from other creators, because people think that there's like an end all to like the video creation, but it's really cool seeing other people's like workflow, because then you're kind of like, oh, like I kind of like that, like, like how you like, I like to edit directly on the timeline, and a lot of people like to use like, the sources and like do the cuts there and then drop them over. And I learned how to use that in class, but for me, when it's all in one giant timeline, it's like quicker for me to edit for some reason.
You're like the second person. The previous Jessica Hirsch, who we had on the stream last week, did the same exact thing, and she basically just pulled everything onto the timeline. And I sort of start in the source window, and I start in like my bins and folders, and I'm very OCD.
You're in and out, right? You're like in and out the clips, drop in and out.
And then I bring everything in, and then I still cut stuff on the timeline. So I could have probably just saved myself a lot of time doing it that way to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's like whatever is like good for you, and I just like having it all in the timeline, because I feel like then I also get to monitor like the time that I'm working on for the clip, because I only have a minute, So I'm kind of like, okay, well, I need to cut this down to make sure that it hits that minute mark. And the only time I go over is on Facebook videos, because they prefer like a minute plus for monetization.
Gotcha.
But for the rest of my clips, I try to keep it like 60 seconds or less. So I like to keep an eye on that. But it's really cool seeing other people's like workflows. You learn a lot.
You really do. I mean, I'm constantly learning on here, whether I'm a guest in the chat or hosting you. Like you're just learning from other people, and that's what's so great about this community, and being able to have you here teaching us about your workflow, because everyone can learn something.
Yeah, I'm also learning while I'm teaching. I'm not sure if that, but it's always it's great that we can like collaborate, because I think that's like really cool.
So can you just for the sake of showing everybody your sequence settings for TikTok, like Instagram, Facebook videos, because they're obviously different based on where you're posting this video, right?
Sure. They used to be, but now they're all the same, which is really good.
Because you're doing YouTube Shorts, right?
Yes, I'm doing YouTube Shorts too. So it's all basically the same now. And because I'm recording in 4K, I usually like to just natively just take it from the clip and start like the new project, with the clip itself, and use that. And then when I export it, I have all the encodings. But when it comes to like taking because everything's on my phone, I'm just like, okay, well, let's just edit it the way it is on the phone.
So you're editing, so you're basically creating your sequence as a 4K sequence, and then you're exporting it as 1080.
Yes, exactly.
Gotcha.
So then I have like that ability to like, zoom in, zoom out, or do whatever I want as well. It gives that extra layer. Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. I know everybody's process and that's a little bit different. And whether you're shooting 4K, for those that are like brand new to video editing, I don't know if we have anybody in the chat that is, super new, basically Soy shooting 4K, having the ability to essentially create 2 clips out of one, because the file, size is so large, and then actually punch in so that it looks like she shot with, 2 different cameras, and it gives you the ability to push in if you, want to crop something out or something.
Right. Exactly. So I always feel like 4K is like my safe spot.
4K is the standard safe spot now. I feel like 8K is not there yet, because we don't have computers and money fast enough to render it all.
Yeah. So right now 4K is good.
I know. I remember when like 1080 was just like gold, and like 480, 720, like no one's using that anymore. And there's still cameras that have those settings. And I'm like, why do they have these settings? No one's shooting in that anymore.
Yeah. Like remember when like YouTube, like the most it could play was like 1080, and that was like legit, Yeah.
You'd have that little button, and it was like, okay, 1080, sweet. This video is gonna
it's HD. And now you watch like 1080 videos and you're like, ooh, what is going on?
I know. Well, I made the mistake a long time ago of when I exported my travel films for YouTube, I exported them at 1080, and I've now decided to just export everything at 4K. I've seen a couple tutorials of that being a much better option, because YouTube compresses everything pretty badly. So I've noticed a huge difference in more people watching it, and also just me feeling proud of like, oh, that's exactly what it looks like on my hard drive.
Yeah, I think all the platforms like compress it. So if you can like even export it in 4K and upload wherever, it's going to compress no matter what, but at least you're giving it the best chance of surviving.
Yeah, totally. Awesome. Okay, so let's keep on plugging away here. What do you want to show us?
Okay, so I definitely want to show you guys, I think like the number one feature that I think I've been telling all my friends is like the captioning for Adobe. It's gotten so great. Obviously there's this little button right here.
Oh, I know nothing. I know nothing about this. So
oh my gosh, this is a game changer for you then, James. Like after I discovered this, because it used to take me maybe like another like hour and a half, 2 hours to do my captioning. Now it's 15 minutes. Wow. So quick. So basically what's so cool about Adobe's new captioning feature, where is it? Okay, you hit this transcribe sequence right here.
Oh my God, how have I not known about this?
Yeah, I think it's a relatively, not that new, but they had like a beta launch, and now it's like accessible to everyone. Okay. You hit transcribe sequence, and then you can like decide like audio 1 or audio 2. Like let's say I had like that voiceover, then I can choose like the track. But we can do mix, because it's only one track right now. And then English, you can transcribe in, point out. So you can do a part of the video or the whole video. And then you hit transcribe. And you guys ready for the magic?
Please show me the magic. This is like pretty insane.
So insane. Like I like tell everyone about this.
Well, because I've been actually like, I'm sure what you were doing before this was going in the graphics tab and actually creating shapes and text for each part that you wanted the text, and you have to time it properly. So I'm very excited to see this.
And then there's also like, auto spell error. Like when you're doing all of that, there's so much room for error, and it's fine. Like I tell myself it's fine. Like I'm going to spell things wrong. I'm going to get the timing wrong. But this like helps so much that even now I have to like slow down and tell myself like, hey, even though it's like auto transcribing for me, like I need to like make sure that I make things correct.
Right. So yeah, Kevin's saying that this feature came out in 15.4. I'm not even sure which version we're on right now. So I know it came out a little while ago.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's actually like, obviously it's not going to be 100% because everyone's voice is different. The way they, interpret things are going to be different. So basically it comes with this like transcription, which is really good because you can like export it. So let's say you have like Facebook or whatnot, and it needs like, a specific type of captioning, you can do that. Or you can export as a text file, disable auto scroll, like all that stuff. And then when you hit create caption, this is where the real magic happens. I have like a preset for my subtitles already that I came up with right here. I text bubble big, text bubble, but we can do like a blank one so you guys can see what like the default is.
Yeah.
Like they have default options. I like to keep this at 34 characters because I found that like when it's too long, like it includes too many words, then the text is like too small and it's really hard for people to read, at least for me. So I try to keep mine at 34, but you can leave it default if you want. It's really up to how you want your captioning. I'll just do 34. I keep this at 3 seconds because I think it's a good duration. And I like to do double lines, but you can do single lines if you like. It's like 2 lines of text or 1 line of text.
And when you go to format, so under format, that says subtitle up there.
Yeah. This is this is the default. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll show you guys how to like customize it and everything afterwards.
Cool.
But yeah. So you hit create. Boom.
Oh my goodness.
You see that?
I do.
Is that crazy?
So,
it's like,
oh my God. Holy crap.
Yeah.
What have I been doing my whole life?
It's okay. It's okay. We're all learning. This is my favorite tool right now. Like I just can't see doing captioning any other way now. Just because I get to format it the way I want. It gets to look the way I want, not like a default, color or any of that stuff. And it's nice that I can like edit while I'm editing. So obviously there's ways to, adjust it. You can like change like the positioning of it. I kind of have like my preset to kind of like be a little bit, oh, it's not moving.
So yeah, so like any other, central graphic tab, that essentially creates all these adjustment layers that are editable in the essential graphics tab the same way you would if you just manually went in there and created
Exactly.
text.
And then you can choose your font that you want, like whatever fonts you have installed on your computer, you can use the sizing, the color. So if you're like, okay, I like to do like, a fill, like I want to do like yellow because I'm feeling like a yellow mood, I want to do yellow text. You can do yellow text. And then what you do is, why is it not adjusting? Oh, create style. Okay, well, the bold's working.
Bold works.
The fill should be working too. I don't know what I'm doing wrong.
I don't know. It's weird. It had it looked like there was like a error system that came. Maybe try the next text just to see if maybe that was like a.
Oh, like the next text?
Yeah, because that one, everything seemed like it was working pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know what was happening. Sometimes it happens, guys. Sometimes you got to refresh your program.
Yeah.
See, obviously, like
glitches happen.
Yeah, you change your font size to whatever. Oh, so this one's working.
Cool.
Yeah, so you get to change your font size to what you want, and then obviously the positioning. Well, the positioning is not working with me right now, but I like to keep it a little bit.
And do you keep any sort of like like a safe margin up there where your text is gonna, especially like for something like TikTok, where like TikTok, the text is a lot lower, but if you're just posting for, I guess, Instagram and YouTube Shorts, it can probably stay there, right?
Right. So I have like defaults. I'll show you my default one. It's like right here. This is before I put my text bubble on, and I have it at -445. And this is for me like the sweet spot, because if you're viewing it on Instagram as well,
let's see,
like sometimes my video would be in like a square, right? So it would just cut off like this part.
Gotcha.
And then begin like this. So it's like the perfect square. So if you have it at -445, it's like the perfect like height. But I had to like obviously change around to see if that fits. Let's go back to the.
What are we saying in the chat here? Paloma, can you put a highlight behind the font? I believe you can if you put a background, but it's unchecked right now. So yeah.
Yeah, you can add right there.
Yep. So that right there would you can add a background, you can add a drop shadow.
Yeah, you can add like a.
Yep, you can adjust the corners. Kevin, thank you for that update in the chat. So Essential Graphics tab is a tab that everyone should be familiar with, because I think Essential Graphics really was a few years ago, and that sort of blew my mind. It was finally like, okay, yay, Premiere, you're making it easier for us to add text into our videos.
Yeah. So what's really cool is like after you create that style, you can actually save it and then apply it to the rest of the tracks too, which is really cool.
Okay. So so show us that one more time. So
let me do a style with this real quick.
Sure. And while Soy is doing that, for those that are in the chat and are just joining us, we are an hour into editing a really awesome food video with Soy Nguyen. Food with Soy is who she is commonly referred to as on all the socials. And we're having a great time, a lot of great discussion, a lot of great sound bites. We might have a new series called Sound Bites with Soy, so stick around for that one. And then for those that are interested, Adobe Max this year will be virtual as it was last year, and that does mean that it's free. So anybody that would like to tune in and watch some amazing sessions, it's October 26th through October 28th. I will be hosting a segment, and my wife Anna McNaught will actually be hosting a segment as well. So she's actually teaching one. So very, very excited. Sweet.
You have to also make sure, obviously, like it's automatic. I like that the timing's there, but sometimes like it's gonna read things wrong. So it's really good to make sure that you go in to edit it on the side right here.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good point. Like don't just slap the captions in and go, all right, good, done, sending it to the client, and then you spell like half the words wrong because the computer thinks that's what it said.
Yeah, it's like it's a good lifesaver, but also not. Uh, don't also forget that you have to use your human instinct.
Well, this is a huge feature. For those that knew about it, I've just been in the dark. But learning about it the first time, I used to work for a technology company, and I would constantly have to, as the video producer there, and I would constantly have to send these really long interviews to get transcribed before this caption software was in place. And you pay a lot of money to get a 20-minute video transcribed, and now you have everything built right here into the software. So it's really, really cool.
Which is really nice because it's also a part of the software, so you're not having to take it out anywhere,
right?
Or use another program, which I love because it just saves so much more rendering time.
Oh my God! Anytime we can save time rendering, our computers and our mental brains will thank us. I know.
Exactly. So this is a style, right? That I want. Let's say not my usual style, but let's say this is a style I want.
Okay.
I create style and I name it like highlight, because there's like a highlight in the back, right? Thank you. And then since that's a style, now when I start a project, that can be like the first thing I choose, so it can be automatic. But then if I want to push to track or style, this will push the rest of the tracks on the timeline to the style. See, all captions on track. So you only have to do one, and then you can like expand it to the rest of the track.
So if you click that and were to press OK, then every other track now has that same style.
Yep.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty sweet, right?
Yeah, and then you can just go basically, section by section and just tweak it if you feel like you want to maybe remove text and
that's probably like where the 15 minutes is like I listen and I just like edit. I just listen, edit, So it's like, it's a little bit more tedious to do line by line, which I guess I should do some of them right now.
Let's eat Laos Thai food together from a place called Sabadi.
See, and like for me, I like to personally like keep all my stuff like uncapitalized. So that's like my style. So I have to make sure that's a thing too.
Yeah, and I guess consistency is a huge part of it too. Making sure that if you are going to have everything uncapitalized, that every other caption is uncapitalized, or if something's in all caps, then it's all consistent. I don't know, it drives me crazy when I see things that are inconsistent in text form, and I feel like captions are a really good way to like be just that little detail that really goes a long way.
Yeah. And if you like feel that, okay, well, I feel like the timing for this is like, I could cut it in half. You just treat it like any other part of the project where you're just like dragging, and then the thing's like automatically timed. So you just make it just makes like an automatic new like caption track line, and you just add that.
Now, if you wanted to take Rancho and put it next to and just make that a 2-line caption, would you then have to readjust the size of the highlight, or does the highlight adjust with the, like it's basically adjusted with the text itself, right?
No, you definitely have to adjust the size of the highlight. But I also think the text that I decided to choose is kind of big. Like that sizing was like 70 is like a little bit too big in general.
Yeah, there's definitely a sweet spot, huh? Like you almost have to try different things.
Yeah, 60 looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, and then since I just changed that to 60, then I want to push it to all the tracks.
And now, do those captions save in your bin or in your project as like a caption file, or they don't save unless you export it out as like if you had to send a caption to a client, or like transcripts to a client or something?
Oh, no, you can send it as you hit here, you can export it as an SRT.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So if you need like SRT format, like YouTube takes like SRT, Facebook also takes like SRT, where you don't want to have like embedded captioning and you want them to have the option to turn on captioning, then you just export the SRT.
Okay.
Yeah. And it'll be timed out and everything. So you just upload that file to YouTube or to Facebook, and they'll have that like captioning option, and it'll be like your timing and your words.
Do you feel I'm so glad you brought all this up, because I'm like, these are things that I've been actively curious about. Captioning for YouTube, and like search, being able to find a video or get your video to have more views based on caption or no caption. Do you feel like just exporting an SRT file, if it's a tutorial, let's say that you're doing, and you upload that to YouTube, does the caption make a huge difference in just higher search optimization
like SEO
for that video? Yeah,
I think so, but then I also think like because like YouTube lets you kind of like translate into different languages, it also gives that leeway. So I think the SRT feature is really good if you don't like embedded subtitles, but also if you want to reach like a bigger audience in general.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. Which I think is really cool because like I don't even know of any program that just lets you export, from a video to SRT like this. This is like mind blowing to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm like, I just exported a video 20 minutes before we got on this call, and I'm going to go back and add some of these in there because I did so many of them manually. I'm like, oh, I'll just leave that out. And now I can add a lot of this stuff back in. And
it's so nice because like you can literally like make it look like your own captioning. So people are like, oh, what app are you using? Or how did you make it look like this? And then you could be like, oh, I just made it myself. Like literally you made it yourself. There's like, you can have different backgrounds, you can have different shadows, you can make it look exactly the way you want it to look.
So now how did you create your little sort of icon that you seem to have become known for?
I will get my text bubble back to my, everything is good to go. Cool.
The crunchiness of that like rice thing that you're holding. I'm so hungry right now that I'm like, I just want to go get that whole bowl right now.
Honestly, I feel like that's how I feel when I'm editing my videos too. I'm just sitting by myself and I'm like, dang it. Is it okay that I'm like hungry at like 2 a.m. and then it's because I'm like editing like a food video and it's like, oh, I really want to eat that. And I'm like, technically I already did eat it, but like I want to eat it again.
You need to have like a reserve pile. Like here's like the food that I cooked with and I ate and filmed, and then this is the one that I'm going to eat after when I'm starving watching my edit like a million times over.
Exactly. So like for the text bubble, honestly, like I made this like a while back on Photoshop. I have like a transparent background, which is also nice about Premiere, is like obviously like PSDs, but PNGs also like come like transparent when you bring it onto the timeline.
Cool.
So
let's see.
Where's my bubble? Bubble's a little bit small here.
There it is.
Because of oh my God, this happened the other day too. I don't know why the project shifted like that. But then I like to have it video 2 or whatever the most top layer is. So let's say I had like other video things right here, then I do like video 4. Still underneath the captioning. And then
Paloma said, yeah, I had to go get me a snack, so she had to leave. Well, thanks for coming back, Paloma.
Thanks for eating and hanging out with us. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Yeah. And Voodoo Val showed up with a snack. See, so we're learning here. Everyone's learning how to handle this situation. I scarfed down a bagel before the stream, so I haven't had like real food yet today, but I'll get there.
I know, it's like the stream is like around like lunchtime, so I feel like most people get like pretty hungry around this time.
I agree. Voodoo Val says food streams on Adobe Live always make me hungry. Yeah, and you guys always have me hosting the food stream, so I'm starving just all the time.
And then I just kind of made this like on Photoshop where I have like the text bubble and then like my little icon right there, kind of the way that like you get an iPhone.
Cool.
And then I
love that.
The PNG just grows and shortens as I want. I kind of just like almost eyeball it. Even though I have like a preset version of it, but for this live stream, I'll just do it like live. And then I like to lower the opacity a little bit so that you see more of the food. Yeah, and then
Let's see Laos Thai food together from a place called Sabadi and Rancho Cucamonga.
And then I just
sticky
just change all the captions to
look how soft.
Anytime there's honestly, what I usually like to do is drag it all the way through and do the whole
you eat it just like regular rice?
Yeah. Razor chop.
Did you, when you first started this series and these videos, had you included captions on them, or was that something that you chose to do after you realized this is probably going to get more people to watch them?
Yeah, so I originally, like some of my earlier videos,
let's see Laos Thai food.
Some of my older videos, like I had like a basic captioning. but it wasn't like this. And I had like a YouTube video where I did use this. While all these videos are now captioned like this, but I
use
just
so many.
I upload a video a day. There's a lot.
You've gone through so many hairstyles.
I know, like you can see the all the colors, right?
Yeah.
It's nice, right? It's like a nice little yearbook for me.
Yeah, you're like curating your feed based on the color of your hair.
Yeah, that's so funny. I didn't even realize that. See, but this is like my old captioning.
Okay.
It was kind of like, it almost looks like Snapchat.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's definitely come a long way. But I was making like, this is like a part of one of my YouTube videos, and then one of my friends was like, "Oh, why don't you just use that as your captioning?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, why don't I do that?" And it's not that hard. It was just like, it's the same as this, right? Like I had a layer underneath, and then I had the text, and then I had the soy on top. But the only difference is I made it kind of like more stylized in a way that's like harder to duplicate, you know, for other people.
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's almost like your little watermark in a way.
Yeah, I think that might have been the first video where I used it on my Instagram. Before that, I didn't have captioning. And that was like, okay, because I didn't understand that fact about how 85% of people don't watch content, you know, with the audio on. And then once I started adding captioning, even though it took a long time, like, because before it used to be like layer by layer, text by text, timing, you know, everything had to be very me. I got feedback from people saying that like, oh, like my sister is like deaf and like you're like the only content creator she can watch. And I appreciate that. And then I was like, okay, well, you know, like that is worth me adding in an extra like hour, 2 hours, adding captioning to my videos because it's helping someone out there like consume my content.
I love that as the reasoning too. And it's not just, I just put captions because more people will see it. There's obviously a reason you went to that way in the first place. And I think it's true. There's a lot of people there's way more people consuming this content now than there probably ever has been. And so, you know, you as the creator need to find ways to make sure that the work that you're putting into is getting seen by all the people you want, you know, to see it.
Yeah. I think getting that feedback was really important because before it used to just be like, okay, well, captioning was like very tiring for me. And I was just like, okay, like, do I really want to do this? Is this really worth it? Like I already spent like, you know, 2 hours like editing. Do I really need another hour, maybe 2 hours sometimes adding captioning because, you know, the rendering and everything, it just starts adding up. But yeah, getting that feedback is like super important as a creator because you realize that like, hey, you're not just creating projects, but it's like bridging that gap between people. And it's good to know that there's a human on the other end receiving it. And it's also why I ask for like feedback a lot of times from my viewers. I'm like, hey, like, is there something you really want to see more of? Or like, is there something that I'm doing that I could do better? And they're really nice. Like a lot of times they're like, no, you're doing everything great. But I'm like, oh, but I'm like so open to like learning more and like figuring ways to like make my videos like better. Yeah.
What's like one of the main things that you feel that you've improved on as a video creator over the last, you know, maybe like last year or two, in posting these every day? Do you feel like there's specific techniques you've gotten better with, or just overall, you know, how you think about creating videos?
Oh, for sure. I think the number one thing is I used to think a lot about views and like followers and all that stuff. And it's really easy to get in that trap of like, oh, numbers. But because I upload a video a day, there's like, in my mind, it's kind of like a music album, Taylor Swift or something. She's not going to release like a shake it off all the time. There's not going to be viral hits all the time. There's going to be like personal favorites of hers, like an All Too Well or like an indie track that she recorded for an OST. And I have to think the same way about my videos now. And I think it's like in a better headspace where I'm not looking at just like, okay, this video didn't get like hundreds of thousands of views. This video didn't get like millions of views. Like that's fine. Like that wasn't probably why I made the video. And I'm very happy that I've gotten to the place where it doesn't dictate how I make my content. It's not like, oh, I just don't want to do like viral videos. Like that's great. If anyone can do that, like that's really awesome for them. But I think for your mental health, it's better to look at it as like, okay, why am I creating this piece of content? You know, is it because I want to showcase culture? Is it because I want to, you know, help someone with their mental health? You know, so those are like more important to me now than they were when I started, where I was just like, okay, I just want people to watch my videos Now that I feel like I have a platform and an audience, it's more so like, okay, like I'm making different types of content every day, and it's great for my creative freedom. But it's also good for like the viewers to see different sides as well. So I'm not like trapped in thinking that like, oh, I only have to do like this one type of content.
Yeah. Oh man, I love, there's so much I want to kind of unpack there, because I feel like now there's so many people. I mean, I'm guilty of it as a creator, to create something because it's what might get likes, or create something because it's what you've seen do well in the past. And it's kind of a breath of fresh air to hear you speak about, why you're doing this in the first place. Yes, the likes and the views are obviously great, and that's what can sustain a career and sustain a job, to do it on your own. But ultimately, like, you have to have a reason and a passion for what you're doing first. And clearly you're inspired to continue to do this, whether the likes existed or not,
Yeah, thanks, James. Yeah, I think I'm very proud of myself for that, because I think it was like a weird moment where I also was like very, especially when you see TikTok and it's just like a platform really dedicated to like, it's almost like a lottery. The more videos you post, the better your chances are to get something to hit, right? So you start having this idea that like, oh, maybe my other videos aren't good, but that's not the truth. They all serve like different purposes. And something like an algorithm, or like even like viewers or likes, that's out of your control. The only thing you have control over is the type of content you make, and how you feel making it. And I think like that was like the most important thing that I have been able to learn throughout like doing all this like video a day type of thing, is at the end of the day, all that matters is how I want to create content, and everything else is back burner.
See, I'm serious. This sound bites with Soy is just gonna happen, because I'll do it. We'll just do it separately, because it's so. For anyone in the chat, like, please throw some kudos Soy's way, because it's been really enjoyable. And again, like a breath of fresh air to really hear some of this insight as someone who feels the same way. I think it is important for video creators, for any creative out there, but specifically for this, as we're talking video editing, to just try things and fail and fail and fail, and continue to edit, and then continue to create again and fail some more, and learn things along the way, because I think it's those moments that start to turn you into the creator that you're comfortable being. And then everything else is just noise, and the noise starts to sound less and less than it is maybe when you're first getting started.
Yeah, because I remember when I first getting started, the viewpoint was like, oh, like, how am I gonna get people to watch? And then it slowly, when I realized that that was not sustainable, I was like, okay, so my new goal is to get better. Like, how am I going to improve my storytelling? How am I going to improve my editing? How am I going to improve my videos? Like, to me, that was like the next thing. And then slowly, like, once my videos, I think no matter what, like, I had a very strong sense of me, no matter what type of content I was making. And then once that started getting traction, I was like, okay, well, this works. And then sometimes it doesn't work. And then sometimes it works again. And it's okay to keep trying until like you figure out like a groove, because it's really out of your control when it comes to the viewers and the likes and all that stuff.
Totally is. And what do you feel like the future of? Do you have a future of Food with Soy in mind, that you want to just continue to kind of create more of these, or do you have bigger plans of wanting to, create a bigger show? Like, what's your future plans with this?
Yeah, I mean, one day I think it'd be really awesome if I could like have a show where I could do what I'm doing right now, but to like a bigger audience, to help educate, to help inform, to help, show that representation that I feel like is missing out there. But at the same time, I love the community that I've built on my Instagram, on my TikTok, on every that. Like, I appreciate every single person that like watches my videos and sends me messages. So being able to do both is like the dream. Like, if I could do both, is like the dream, but that definitely requires like a lot more help.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's only so much one person can do.
Yeah. And I have to tell myself like it's okay that I'm not uploading long form YouTube videos, because I'm also uploading like, my Facebook video, and I'm uploading, 3 TikToks a day, and I'm still doing my Instagram reels. So I give myself like that mental boundary of like, it's okay that I haven't uploaded like a long form YouTube video, because I don't have the capacity right now to do that, and just to like be easier on myself, because it's really easy to be like, I have to do this, but I think it's like a long marathon, like you can't just like sprint and burn out, because that's like a very bad cycle.
Well, there's so many platforms that, everyone thinks you have to do everything for each platform. And a lot of the times it's just trying to boil down, like maybe I focus on one or two platforms and do those really well, and focus on Instagram and YouTube and, Twitter's just the back burner, and TikTok is like a side thing. And so, because you can get very overwhelmed if you're constantly focusing on like, I have to do the same amount of work for 6 platforms.
Right.
And so, it is important to sort of not bite off, as much as you can chew, or whatever the saying is, and really just focus on doing a couple things really, really well and consistently. And I think, you'll find that audience obviously has worked, in your world, that they grow sort of with you in that way.
Yeah. And I think also like I think people tend to forget, because they always think like as a creative, you're always thinking that you have to make something new, but there's ways to repackage videos. Like if I film like this, I did an eat with me video, but I also did like a talking video. Like I did basically like 2 different types of videos for the different platforms with this one sitting down moment. It's like possible to do that, and it's okay, because you guys can fight me for this, but I do believe that like you can repurpose content, especially when like some platforms, like they don't have, like I have viewers that can't view TikTok. Like in India, you can't view TikTok. So as a global platform, like that really sucks that my audience in India can't watch my videos, and I get comments because I post on my story like, oh, like I posted this on TikTok. And in my mind, I always thought, oh yeah, everyone can look at TikTok. All they have to do is like download it, or there's people that don't want to download it, whatever it has be, like you can post it on Instagram, you can post it on Facebook, because there's like a small subset of like super fans that probably follow you on all the platforms, and they're great because, they're probably on your lives and everything too. But then you have to think of like the bigger audience, like the idea of like someone seeing your content for the first time is also very highly likely.
Right. And now, do you feel like the future of the way we're consuming content now obviously is different than it was a couple of years ago, not even 10 years ago? I mean, it seems exponentially faster that everyone with a phone is able to see a million things a day and just decide, okay, I'm going to scroll past this because it doesn't keep my attention. Do you still feel like there is the market where, if you want to create long form videos that aren't necessarily these quick, punchy kind of social videos, that market is still going to be there? Or do you feel like we're shifting further away from that?
Oh yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, like if you follow me, you know that I'm a huge believer in abundance. There's like so many opportunities for everyone. And that's like saying like movies shouldn't exist or television shouldn't exist. I mean, I remember there was like a debate where people were like, oh, like viewership on television is down. Like, YouTube is going to overtake all of that. But now, Netflix is making really cool content like Squid Game, and Hulu's making originals, and Apple TV is making originals. So even if you don't want to look at cable, there's so many other ways to watch long form content that I don't think it's ever going to be obsolete,
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so we have about, I'd say 20-ish minutes, a little over 20 minutes left. And so what else in here? Do you want to kind of finish the process of captioning? Do you want to show us maybe a different project, or just show us kind of the export settings? I feel like I
can do a little bit of everything. I mean, sure. I can definitely show all the line by line stuff.
Yeah. And again, thank you to those in the chat so far today that have been asking questions. Continue asking questions. Again, we have about 20 minutes with Soy today. We will be back again tomorrow for another 2-hour adventure together.
This is fun, right? We definitely talked a lot today. So I'm like, what are we going to talk about tomorrow? But it's like a whole new segment.
It is. My wife tells me that I could literally talk to a wall. So
you're perfect for this then.
It is. It's good. And I'm super engaged and interested in really what you're doing. And I think just the passion you have for it too. I feel like I learn from everybody in this community, and it's really fun to just get some insight into stuff that I don't really know as much about.
For sure. I think it's always fun to learn from other creatives too. So I'm learning a lot from you as well.
Thank you. What is FoodwithSoy said? We're going back in the chat here a little bit. Let's see. It's like a Marvel movie. The whole thing can't be action all the time. There are lulls and quiet moments. There's different stuff that makes up a body of work. Not every single bit of content should be the greatest thing ever. Yep.
They get it. You guys
get it. Absolutely. Yeah.
They get it.
it all can't be a masterpiece.
Yeah, very difficult, I think, with all these like big platforms, and you see like viral videos get like millions of views, so you think that like this is like what it always has to be, but that's like the opposite of like what creation is, right? Is like looking at the end audience. Like creation is about making something with yourself, you know, internally, and then it gets sent out, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a huge, like it can become a big self-conscious thing too. If you look at, and everyone has done this, you look at the views that some other video or some other creator got, and you're like, oh my God, how did that get 1 million views? And then this thing that I slaved over and worked for hours on didn't get the views that I thought it should get. And so, yeah, you're trying not to think about the final out. That's not the final outcome. The final outcome isn't the likes and the viewership. The final outcome is that you made something that you're proud of and that people, you know, resonated with. And
honestly, maybe it's an opportunity to learn, you know, like if you see their content do really well and you're like, oh, what is it that they did like differently, or you saw that stuck out? Because I always tell people like the best way to look at video editing or any type of creation process also is like as yourself as a consumer. Like if you're taking in the content and if you're watching it and you're like, okay, like I really like this hook at the beginning. Maybe that's something you try in your next video. You're not like automatically copying them, but maybe you see something in their video that you like that you can make your own. It's like the whole creation process is just like connecting the dots, right? Like maybe there's something you can learn from other people instead of thinking of it as like a competition.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys heard it here first on what did we say? On Sound Bites with Soy.
Yeah, so this is the timeline that I did previously. I kind of just matched like the little bubble to the text, and it looks pretty nice. I think it looks like pretty charming personally for me.
Awesome.
I'm a big fan of it.
A little bit of a crunch to it.
Yeah, and then I just like retime things or shift things. I think it's easier if you like when you caption, try to caption it in like chunks, because even as like someone like reading the captioning, like if there's just a quick moment where there's like blah 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 appears on screen and then it's gone, like it's really hard to follow through with. So it's really good to constantly be like, okay, well,
more sticky, so there's a chew to it.
Sometimes I like combine lines even if like the timing isn't automatically there, just because I think of like the reader and how fast like people read, and most, you know,
a little bit more sticky, so there's a chew to it.
There's like a good
sausage, all the herbs.
See, like even though the cut's different, I did the text all in one line just because reading wise, it's different than just like it appearing on screen, because you don't want that to happen.
And I guess sometimes too, I mean, like for you, these jump cuts are obviously like they're part of the personality as well. But I feel like if you're trying to maybe like hide that a cut is a little bit jumpy, like having that text bubble carry over, the viewers looking at the text and not necessarily the cut.
Exactly.
So they might not even notice that that's happening.
Yeah. So then let's say I wanted to do like a one line though, because sometimes I do one line instead of two lines. I usually just kind of like bring it up a little bit so that it's in the middle of my text bubble. But like I'll show you what the caption looks like when it's like when you kind of like jump like that. It's just really hard to read.
Laos Thai food together.
Oh wait, where did it go? Where did I put? Oh, wrong project. Sorry guys, in the mind of a
so there's a chew to
how it goes.
Sausage, all the herbs.
Like if you were just like a viewer, that'd be way too fast.
Chew to it. Sausage,
you know, and then so like it's really important to like look at captioning through that lens one more time of like, okay, I'm reading this, like, is this right? Is this right? And also like watching one more time. Like I can't stress enough. Like this, the more you do it, the more you become intuitive with it. Like, okay, well, this is too long of a line, or this is too short of a line, or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's a good point too. You know, when I'm sure you do this, and I obviously do this with the captions, but as an editor watching back your video and actually sitting, like, don't touch the tools, sit back as a viewer and watch it, and just imagine yourself there watching this video and realize like where a cut is, where there's a lull maybe in a cut that all of a sudden you feel like there's a little bit of boredom. And then that's how I would know, okay, like that needs to go. And so like that's important too.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I like make the marker. So I use like the key mark and like this. I just like make
It's
a mental
called
note so that after I watch through, I'm like, okay, well, I need to like,
manga.
I spelled
Sticky
something wrong, you know,
marks.
and I go back and I just
Look
like
how
make those marks so that I know to go back, and then I just remove them afterwards. They don't really do anything. They just make marks.
Right. And you can make marks on the timeline, and you can also make marks on the clip, right?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think it's really useful to use that if you're like kind of like that personality where you're like, oh, I don't want to like do it all at once. Like I want to do it all at once, where I'm just like finding all the moments where I need to come back and edit to. The markers are a really, really great tool.
I have a question going back like from the beginning. When you're filming on your iPhone or just, you know, smartphone in general, are you ever using a external mic or a microphone that's in the phone, or have you just decided to just use the internal mic of your phone?
Yeah, I have like a lav, and then I think more importantly, like you should get like a good like phone stand. Like this is my favorite phone stand.
Ooh, what is that one?
Yeah, it's like,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I like it because like I like to shoot straight on, and a lot of the phone stands I have seen online, it's mostly for like using your phone as like actually an actual stand, right? Like a little,
like a tripod.
You know, so it's kind of like, no, it's like more tilted because it's supposed to just hold your phone. And this gives me the flexibility of going like this and that. And I also have tripods like Joby and everything, but for this, like I just like how like compact it is. Like after that, it's like done.
That's perfect.
Yeah, like my favorite thing.
That can go in any. That's like this. That can go in your pocket, basically. Like
yeah, exactly. And then it doesn't hurt the audio ports either. So that's really important. But I also have like the adapter, and like I have a lav mic that I hook on if like an environment is like too noisy, where I'm like, hey, I really need like quiet and peace, or like if I'm out filming somewhere, then I usually like bring that in case.
I guess that goes back to, you know, overproducing something where it's not as easy and quick to make. So the more steps you have to take before you create these, you know, the harder it is to do them every single day. So I'm sure it's just easy to, hey, like set the phone up, record in a quiet-ish environment, and not really care so much if there's maybe like an echo.
I think that's why it really helped. Well, during the pandemic too, like I started recording like a lot of these videos in my car. And it was really cool because I didn't think that like the car would be like a good space, but it's actually pretty isolated in terms of like audio. And on top of that, like during the pandemic, I wanted to eat food like hot, even though I was like reviewing it. And eating in my car was like
trying Somali food from a local restaurant in Inglewood.
I have like a little like car eating tray. And then like
called Benedir, like, and they've been around,
you know, like nothing beats
for 10
like
years. I'm super excited. This is the Federation plate.
Like being able to eat the food there,
I'm so
you know.
Excited. It looks
nothing beats like being able to eat the food fresh and hot, because I feel like that's like the best impression of the food. Like you can go home and like cook it up and air fry it and oven and everything, but I think like there's something to be said about like getting it fresh and like being in your car and eating it. It does create a little bit of a mess. But you know, you just got to clean your car.
Yeah, hey, that's part of it. That's you're just budgeting that messy cleanup in the car as part of this whole process.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, like because like if I know like a place is like really bad audio, like I just know that it's gonna be impossible for me to do like on camera stuff. Then I usually do like a food adventure, which is more of like the behind the scenes and like the story of the place. Let me try to find a video. Oh, here it is.
And then voiceover instead.
Friendly's Donuts is open 24 hours. They have a great selection of mochi donuts and rotating flavors, tons of vegan options like this whole box full, and fun, colorful drinks like an ube shake and fresh OJ, served with the friendliest service.
Actually, watching this, I'm like kind of cringing because I feel like I've gotten so much better at VO, but like
food and leave
like
sweet memories.
it's like
so ube, super set up.
So it's like a mixture of like different types of like media and clips and stuff, which I think I'm probably gonna edit tomorrow as like a food adventure video. So if people are like interested in like learning how to like have different layers of clips and everything, today's tutorial is definitely more like straightforward editing.
Yeah. Maybe tomorrow we can go in some more of the details with like a larger timeline and just get into some more details.
Yeah,
of, like,
I think
that
a
lot of those things together.
Yeah, I was like, let me try to like ease in the first day where it's like not too crazy, because I feel like the timeline can be a little overwhelming for everyone.
Now, the thumbnails are such a huge part of all of these videos and like in scrolling through, you know, I'm thinking about like, oh my God, I would click on that. I would click on that. So how much thought are you putting into what the thumbnails are for these videos?
So it's like a big component for like YouTube, because I used to work at a YouTube MCN and we talk about like thumbnail being like click-through rate and like what people see and they want to, you got it?
Nope.
Oh my gosh. By the end of
it's literally been like here the entire time. And I'm just trying to like swat it and not kill Jacob in the headphones here as I smack my mic. Sorry.
Hopefully by tomorrow you'll he'll leave.
Oh, he's going down after this stream.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt you during that.
Yeah, so then
This chicken
food
restaurant
adventure
is a
videos
reason
are
for-
like that. I honestly lost my train of thought. What were we talking about? What were we talking about? Maybe someone in the chat can help. I literally lost my train of thought.
Sorry, hold on.
That's what happens when I have
my,
ADHD.
I know. I did too. My audio just turned on, so I was listening to what we talked about 5 seconds ago. So
Oh, I
sorry.
love that.
We both went into a little bit of a distracted vortex. Yeah, so I was asking about thumbnails, and obviously YouTube, right, is such a huge, like that's such a huge component of your videos, but is Instagram and TikTok, do you feel like that's the same, or do you have a different method?
I definitely think thumbnail is super important, and you can do like custom thumbnails for Instagram now, but I really like video shots because I feel like they're the most like organic. Like I would only click something on Instagram if I think it's like a video and not like a fully produced like video, at least on my end. I still think that way for Instagram and TikTok. Like I just think of like the best moment, you know, whether it be like a dip of a taco or like a noodle pull or like something that really makes the food like kind of stand out. Always does really well.
What is your most successful video on here right now? Like, do you know which one has the most views? I know we're going against what we talked about before, but I'm just curious now. And
I don't know. Let's see.
Because I mean, you have a lot of views on here.
Yeah, it's so much easier to go on YouTube because you can like search by my most viewed. And then TikTok, I've had a couple get like 10 million plus. Like,
wow.
But those are like more like fun content. Like for TikTok, sometimes I do kind of like more random things. Like this has 6 million, and it was just me like kind of recreating someone else's like recipe. So more fun, more like straightforward. Like, well, let's see reels, because I think that's like the best measure. 600,000, 200,000.
One thing to just continue to stress to those that are, you know, watching, and is just like how the breadth of content that you have created, you know, like you might have one video that has gone viral, but if you decided that one video is the only video you were going to post and you didn't post anything else, that video doesn't really do anything for you, because the person that is coming to watch that video also wants to see your personality and then everything else you've created. So,
right,
you know, they have a home where you can just scroll for hours. If you're, you know, hungry at 2 a.m. or if you're like alone for dinner, and come, you know, to FoodwithSoy and be like, all right, like, what am I going to make, or where am I going to go eat? I'm going to get on a plane and fly to Los Angeles because I'm going to miss out on all this delicious food.
I think, you know, I think what I like to think about is like you're building an audience. So getting a viral video is kind of like, that'd be great. Like it's a jackpot moment. But if you don't have like the infrastructure already set up, you know, with like videos that are similar to it or whatnot, they're going to come to your page and they're going to like drop off. You know, you want to have content that's like very you and very consuming. So this did pretty well on Reels, like 1.3 million.
Here's how I pick the perfect watermelon.
You're gonna need to look for a round watermelon, juicier. This is all audio within iPhone 2.
This is a little damaged, so it's not gonna be good.
It's like educational, fun.
The more orange, the sweeter it is.
Oh.
Too pale. These punctures right here are usually because the bees are trying to get to them. Obviously, the sound technique. That sounds pretty hollow and good. I think we found one. This is the one. Not too big, not too small. Here's how I pick the perfect watermelon.
I love it.
Yeah, so that did pretty well too, and it on Reels, which I think is like fun because it's like.
What's cool about that too, and maybe some of your other content, is like how it almost feels. Some of them feel a little bit like a loop. So even that one felt like the ending could have also been the beginning, and so it feels this like infinite loop that will just keep people, you know, watching over and over again. Or if they miss something, they can just continue to watch it. I
love loops. Sometimes I'm able to do it, and sometimes I'm not. So I don't like kind of make myself, but I don't think there's different ways to do loops, because you can do like that one was like a visual loop where it's like I ate, and then I began at the spot where I took it out. But then some of my videos are like an audio loop, which I think is like kind of fun because if you really notice it, then you notice it. Let me see. Where's a good one that has a good audio loop? I'm like trying to like quickly look through all my videos. Oh, here.
And it is hard to do. Like it's a lot harder than people think.
Let's go on a food adventure. Here, Fishy.
So like the question was at the beginning, like, have you ever had like all you can eat sushi?
Fish selection. You pay a set price and can choose appetizers like dynamite mussels, sweet shrimp, and even carpaccio. Don't worry, there's tons of nigiri options as well. My favorite being the fatty tuna, salmon belly, and ikara. The rolls can come in both half and full options, so you can try them all.
Damn, I want sushi now.
Rolls for those that don't like raw fish.
So badly.
As well. Dessert is also included. Now you know what to answer if someone
and then
asks.
the last line is, now you know what to answer if someone asks you, have you ever had all you can eat sushi?
I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So I like to, if I have like because I try not to stress too much about it, because loops do help with like videos being like watched and rewatched. But like I mentioned, like I'm like, oh, you know what? Sometimes I'm going to miss it. Sometimes I have it. When I have a moment like this, I really like it because when someone like catches it, like a moment like this, I'm just like super happy. Because they're like, oh, I saw the loop. And I'm just like, dang, like I love it. You know, like that you notice like this small creative moment. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, the sushi itself, I mean, I don't think anywhere else other than maybe Tokyo, I haven't been to Japan, does sushi quite like Los Angeles does. And I love sushi in LA so much.
LA's good for sushi. I've been to Japan too. Japan's definitely, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit better, but it's because of the environment. But
okay, here's a question. As we sort of wrap up today, we got about 5 minutes left. Your favorite, I can't say your favorite, but like your top 3 favorite restaurants that you either have gone to for these videos or just ones that you like to go to in LA.
Okay, so I have an answer, and it's like I actually have a Yelp collection that I always tell people to reference, because I'm like, oh, if like if you're like, I have a lot of people ask me this question, you know, like, what's your favorite place to go to? So I have something called bit.ly/soytified, and it's like soy certified. And I've actually been keeping this list since I've moved to LA, because I'm originally from Florida and I didn't know where to eat. And like my friends would be like, oh, I'm visiting from Florida. Where should I? Oh, that should be working. Okay, let me go to my Instagram. It's linked on my Instagram. But it should be bit.ly soytified, and then it takes you to, maybe I spelled it wrong. Oh yeah, it's like my all-time favorite list. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah,
and it's situated by recently added, as well as like distance. So if you're like nearby or something, like you can like change it. I tell everyone to use this as their guide, because these are places I really love. And I even include like some places in Japan I've been to, New York, awesome. Virginia, like all these places around the world where I'm like, dang, I had a really good meal here. And I want to remember it, and I keep it like in I'm
trying to see if I've been to any of those. So many of them look new to me, and it makes me mad that I didn't have any of them.
It's okay.
Avenue 26, I believe I've been.
Legend for tacos. These are great. Yeah. So it has like a variety of places in Orange County, LA, like anywhere you could want to go to. Like if I had a really good meal there, and I would recommend it to someone as a friend or even like my family, then I put it on this list. So it's a pretty good list.
Oh, it's amazing. And so your favorite, would you say, is definitely on that list?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. 100%. My favorite,
if you had to pick one on there,
I really like Bestia. It's my favorite restaurant. A lot of people know, I
love Bestia.
Yeah, Bestia's great.
Have you been to Bavel?
Yes, I've been to Bavel too. Yeah.
Yeah, they're both very, very good.
Bavel's good too, but like Bestia, like honestly, like make sure you guys get the dessert. If you go to Bestia, make sure to get the dessert, because they have their own house, like pastry chef and everything. So it's actually really good desserts there.
Oh, I like, yeah, my mouth is watering. I'm going to have some lunch after this, and, or some dinner, I guess, but, nothing is going to compare to, the food that you've been showing us today, Soy. And again, I think, I speak for just myself and everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining. And, I had a great time with you today, and I'm really looking forward to, going through a lot of this tomorrow.
Hey, thanks, James. I had a great time too. So I can't wait for tomorrow. We'll definitely dive into like a food adventure video.
Yeah, and feel free, like whatever more elaborate editing techniques if you want to bring into the mix. If you just want to kind of kick off from where we left off today, like I'm more than happy to just kind of watch you do your thing. Again, thank you to those in the chat. Thank you to those at home, and for those that are new to watching on Adobe Live, if you did not get a chance to watch today, please head over to YouTube's Adobe Creative Cloud's YouTube, and you can watch this stream today. And tomorrow, please join us at behance.net/Adobe Live, where I will be joined with Soy Nguyen, Food with Soy, again tomorrow at what time? 3 p.m. Eastern time. And we're super excited to get this thing going tomorrow. So thanks again, everybody. Take
Yay,
care.
bye everyone. Thanks for tuning in.